This is possibly the most interesting, unique economy in the world. It boasts the fourth highest GDP per capita. It is super high income. Living standards are among the best globally. It is also tiny. It has an area of just under 13 square miles and a population of 700,000, making it the most densely populated region in the entire world. It also has the highest global life expectancy. This is mainly due to the average person being incredibly wealthy. There is one millionaire for every 91 people living here. Most remarkably, though, is that for its riches, it relies almost entirely on a single niche industry, gambling. 78% of government revenue comes from its many casinos, which pay a 40% tax on all profits. Its gambling industry drives in revenues many times that of Las Vegas, despite being much smaller in terms of area. This heavy reliance, however, was exposed during the COVID lockdowns, which resulted in a humongous 56% decline in GDP in a single year. It is regarded as the Las Vegas of Asia, and yet many people, particularly in the West, have never heard of it. This is Macau, a tiny region nestled to the west of Hong Kong in southern China. While not an independent nation, Macau is in charge of its own economy. It is a special administrative region of China, similar to Hong Kong, meaning it uses capitalist economic practices and has some political autonomy. Foreign policy and defense, however, are China's responsibility. Let's dive into how this incredibly interesting economy came to be, and whether it will be able to continue its prosperous existence into the future. The Portuguese first established a permanent settlement here all the way back in 1557. Initially, colonial Macau thrived as a vital trading post between China and Japan. Portuguese traders capitalized on Macau's position, allowing it to prosper despite its tiny size and lack of natural resources. This golden age of trade was relatively short-lived, though. Following the First Opium War, Macau lost its role as a major port and entered World War II as a largely irrelevant neutral colony. It became a refuge for people fleeing the conflict, which turned out to be a blessing in disguise. As droves fled the Chinese Civil War, a population boom allowed the economy to diversify, with textiles and clothing manufacturing becoming key industries. But it was in 1962 that Macau's economic landscape truly transformed. The government granted a monopoly license to a single company led by billionaire Stanley Ho. Although gambling had been legalized by the Portuguese a century prior, the full economic potential of the industry had not been realized, so this move single-handedly kick-started the modern era of Macau as a casino powerhouse. The company, STDM, introduced Western-style games and modernized transport, bringing millions of gamblers from Hong Kong every year. As Portugal's empire waned in the latter half of the 20th century, discussions about Macau's future intensified. In 1987, Portugal and China signed the Joint Declaration on the Question of Macau, setting the stage for a handover 12 years later. During this transitional period, Macau experienced huge infrastructure development, including the construction of a new airport and rapid urbanization. On December 20th, 1999, amid fireworks and ceremony, Macau was officially handed over to China after 442 years of Portuguese rule. The last European colony in Asia was no more, and Macau entered the 21st century as a special administrative region of China, retaining its capitalist system under the Chinese principle of one country, two systems. Macau maintains its own currency and has the authority to set its own tax policies. It keeps the free market ideals which benefit its gambling industry, a contrast to the supposed socialist Chinese model. It also has significant autonomy in its legal system, meaning a separate judiciary based on Portuguese civil law. It can govern most of its internal affairs independently, extending to areas such as education, healthcare, and social welfare. Most importantly, gambling is legal in Macau while remaining illegal in China. However, their autonomy is far from absolute. China is responsible for Macau's military defense and foreign diplomacy. While Macau can participate in some international organizations and events such as the Olympics, it does so as Macau, China. The main idea is that Macau is given time, exactly 50 years until 2049, to adapt to Chinese economic principles before becoming integrated into the mainland. The 1999 handover marked not just a change in political status, but the beginning of an unprecedented economic boom. With closer ties to their powerful neighbour and a new era of casino liberalisation, foreign investment exploded and Macau transformed from a sleepy colonial outpost into one of the world's most prosperous regions. In the following decades, the economy often showed double-digit annual growth rates. Macau climbed the rankings to become one of the richest economies in the world on a per capita basis. But how exactly does this economy function today? Well, it is of course heavily based around services. They account for 94% of total GDP, while a small clothing sector accounts for 6%. Over a half of these services are purely casino-based, with the rest made up by restaurants, hotels, and other tourist destinations that are built solely to provide for the gambling industry. This level of economic concentration is unparalleled. It's essentially a microstate built around a vast resort complex, a millionaire's playground. A key factor in Macau's attractiveness is its highly favourable tax regime. With a corporate tax rate of just 12%, no capital gains tax, and no VAT, Macau presents a tax environment that rivals traditional havens like Monaco. Gambling tax, however, remains high at 40% and is the main source of income for the government. It has little arable land, meaning little to no food is produced. It relies on imports for literally everything, including basic goods and food, electricity, and so on. This comes mostly from China and Hong Kong. The most crucial import, though, is tourists. In 2019, they attracted 39 million, again coming mostly from Hong Kong and China. This number dramatically fell as the COVID pandemic illustrated their vulnerability. In 2020, visitor numbers plummeted by 85%, and gambling revenue, the lifeblood of the economy, contracted by a staggering 80%. The impact on GDP was severe. Unemployment rose sharply, and the usually bustling casinos fell eerily quiet. Growth suffered. The loss of gambling revenue destroyed the economy. GDP fell by 56% in 2020, and despite recovering the year after, it fell again by 21% in 2022. Despite growth rebounding impressively over the last 2 years, this has raised serious questions on the future of Macau. The territory's reliance on gambling has brought unprecedented wealth at the risk of shocks and long-term sustainability. Many believe that for as long as China keeps gambling illegal in the mainland, there will always be a place for Macau. However, relying on China's policies for survival is a very risky business. Their 2015 recession was caused by reduced visitors as a direct result of the Chinese government's anti-corruption campaign. As they look to integrate Macau further into the mainland, there is little stopping them from wiping out their gambling industry completely. Therefore, diversification is sorely needed. Fortunately, some efforts have already been made. Their latest 5-year plan emphasizes the development of non-gaming industries such as traditional Chinese medicine, cultural and creative industries, and modern financial services. However, the overwhelming profitability of the gambling sector makes it difficult for other industries to gain traction. One potential avenue for both enhancing and diversifying Macau's economy lies in the realm of technology, particularly artificial intelligence. In casinos, AI could provide advanced data analytics for customer behavior prediction, while chatbots and virtual assistants could improve customer service. But in terms of diversification, this technology could be the linchpin for the arrival of any new cognitive service that Macau aims to undertake. A fully developed financial industry, for example, not limited to Macau's minuscule size, could solve both the China and the diversification problem. Their future is uncertain, but remains one of the most interesting for the world to see. Thank you for watching.